It is hard to fail, but it is worse never to have tried to succeed. Clarity and decisiveness come from the willingness to slow down, to listen, and to look at what's happening. From the strength of a decision, you then have the ability to act. Leadership requires that you are able to make key decisions effectively. Decisiveness then means being the leader of your own life. Decisiveness is both a skill you can build and an internal state you can summon when you need it. A very warm and a fresh good morning to you all. Today, we are here at Wipro Ltd Gurugram for the 7th episode of our series Leadership Talks, theme for which is decisiveness. Indecisive people act simply assuming that others will make decisions for them. These people end up being subjected on whims of others and have to rely on thinking power of others to survive. Decisiveness does not mean being stubborn, arrogant, or hasty. Decisiveness is simply the ability to decide with speed and clarity. In any situation, the ability to decide with speed and clarity is the most rational way to take on any problem head on. So friends, let us know our guest of honor for our today's episode, Ms. Meeta Bedi. She is an experienced talent director with a demonstrated history of working in the information technology and services industry. She has expertise in people management, and talent acquisition. She has a wide experience of around 19 years, starting her career with EXL Services, moving to Aon, Alight India, and currently is General Manager Human Resources Wipro Ltd since almost 3.5 years. She is courageous, solution-oriented, service-oriented, creative, collaborator, and above all, a great human being. She has displayed all these qualities in every aspect of her professional career. She loves to take up challenging assignments and turn them around with absolute ease. Not dealing things much now, let's move ahead and meet our guest of honor.
Greatness belongs to those who master the ability to focus relentlessly on their ambitions and act decisively towards them. In order to answer the question, where am I going, one needs to work towards self-improvement, to have a will to win and dedication to achieve the goal at all costs. Decisiveness is a principal characteristic of a dynamic leader. His or her ability to communicate a decision with passion and integrity is an art. Being an integral part of modern management, decision making involves the selection of course of action from among two or more possible alternatives in order to arrive at a solution for a given problem. With this introduction, it's a great pleasure for us to introduce you to our today's guest of honor, Ms. Meeta Bedi, General Manager, Human Resources, Wipro Ltd. Today, she'll provide us with all the valuable lessons to enhance and improve our decision-making skills. So get ready to grasp and digest all the ingredients coming your way in this episode where not only you can learn but enjoy too.
Hello and a very good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Isha.
How are you, ma'am?
Thank you so much. Very well.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We are glad to have you as the guest of honor in today's episode.
Thank you. Same here.
So, shall we start the session?
Absolutely.
So, the first question for you is, describe a time when you made an unpopular decision which is part and parcel of the profession. How did you handle the situation?
There's so many, Isha, but the one that I remember very clearly was there was this leader who we used to call Rainmaker. Why we used to call him Rainmaker is because he used to get sales for us. Now, he was a people's person through and through. Thought about people, very good leader. What we discovered during a time frame was that he was paying extra incentives to his team. Why he was doing that was because he wanted to motivate his team. Now, when we dug deep, we realized that those payouts were not in line with the policy and the processes that were set up. Now, we also discovered that he had not taken a single penny on his account. He was just distributing it to his team. So that was a very, very tough decision. Growth is important to any organization. He wasn't doing it for himself. He was doing it for his people, for his team. And at that point of time, I remember I had to take a call. We all stood up and we all took a call that he might be a great operations sales leader. He might be doing it for his people. But imagine the message that he was giving to his team. Imagine the culture he was creating, which was not right, which was not in line with our values and culture. So we had to take, long time back, a decision that we had to take a tough decision and part ways with the leader. So yes, it's a part and parcel of the job. But what is helpful is that you understand the organization culture and you stand by it.
This is really inspiring, ma'am, as the ability to face the uncertainty with curiosity and optimism is the belief that problems can be solved and differences can be resolved.
Yeah, you're right.
Moving ahead, the next question is please share your thoughts on individual decision making versus group decision making.
Good question, Anurag. Both are important. In my experience, I have realized that if teams are aligned to common purpose and goal, more often than not, group decision making helps, because in a group you have diverse views, and if the intent is right, more often than not you will land up in making a good decision. I've also realized where domain is needed. So for example, if it's a local law decision that I have to take on policies of a different country, in those situations, I may go out and look at legal expertise, my legal counsel of that region. And in those specific cases, I've seen individual decision making helps because that person is an expert of that area. But I would generally go with decision making where I involve diverse work groups, take their views on a subject, and then move forward with whatever steps we have to take.
Thank you, ma'am, for putting forth such useful points. Our audience will surely gain a lot out of these thoughts and will learn from it.
I hope so, Anurag. Thank you.
Isha, we keep on discussing in our college, and our classmates also keep on wondering that what is the key mantra used during the interviews by the HR to evaluate a candidate. It's a good opportunity, Isha. Let's go ahead.
So, with this, ma'am, the next question for you is, during interviews, how do you evaluate candidates' decision making skills?
This is simple, Isha. Very often, I would ask the candidate to talk to me about situations, whether it's personal or career, to talk to me about the situations that they've dealt with where they would have to take a decision. It could be a simple decision. It could be what colleges, if they had an option, what workplace, if they had an option, even what partners, if they had an option. What I'm interested is to understand the thought process behind why they chose what they chose. And I think as a professional, that's very important to me. It doesn't matter right or wrong, but just the thought process, and if they've lived it, and if they're able to translate that to me in clarity, gives me a good understanding of where that person is in terms of decision-making skills.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable inputs. I hope that our audience will jot down these points for their future references.
I hope so.
Shall we proceed ahead, ma'am?
Yes.
There are two major elements in the process of decision making: speed and accuracy. What is your take, ma'am? Which one is more important and why?
You're asking tricky questions. Both are important. I used to play basketball when I was in school. So how do you play a basketball game? When you have the ball in your hand and you're reaching the goal, you move with speed. But when you're about to hit the basket, you slow down because you're aiming for accuracy. Our life is like that. So it has to be a right blend of both. But I've seen in my experience, most of the times when I'm dealing with people, their performance, there are situations which I go through where I have to make a decision on termination or exit from our organization on performance ground. At that point of time, for me, it is very important to be accurate. Accurate with their performance data, accurate with their track records, their ratings, their code of conduct, etc., etc. So more often than not, because of the profession that I am in, accuracy plays a slightly important role, but I won't say this is 100% true. Speed is equally important. Let me give you an example of a speed now. This is from my personal life. I have a young son who happened to slip in the bathroom, and he had to get stitches done, and he was bleeding profusely. I remember I was alone at home. I had to rush him to a nearby doctor. Now, at that point of time, I knew in my decision making that I had to take him to a nearby hospital, no matter how fancy that hospital was or not. What was important to me at that time was speed to get him stitches. Similarly, very unfortunate incident, but one of my aunt was going through a cancer, had cancer, and I had some time in hand, and I did research. I spoke with many people, and then we made a conscious decision as to which hospital she would go to, which doctor would treat. So that was more of R&D, decision backed by data, research, because I had the time. Yeah. So really, like me, all of us go through such decisions that we will have to make, whether speed or accuracy. But what is important is that you know when to apply when.
Truly wonderful, ma'am. The way you answered this question inspires us to focus more on details and meaningful aspects while making a decision.
Yeah.
Taking the session forward, ma'am, the next question for you is, please share with us about a time when things got really tough. How did you motivate the staff and build their morale?
Two things, Isha, has always worked in my favor. Talk to your team with honesty, authenticity. They can see through you. Second, share the larger purpose, the goal. And if you align them to it, you will have them motivated. Let me give you an example. Way back, I remember I was leading a training team, and we had a learning management system. Now, that learning management system wasn't working for us. It was supposed to be automated, it was supposed to be very slick, but wasn't the case. It was still very manual. My team used to work day in, day out to take out the reports, to upload the content. And at some point of time, the team did get demotivated. They did get frustrated. So what did we do? They wanted us to change the tool. And I knew that we couldn't change the tool at that point of time. So what we did was we all came together. I spoke to them honestly on why we are not able to make that investment. But at the same time, we all realized that our purpose was to create a culture of learning, to create a culture where everyone wants to grow, learn, everyone contributes to training hours. So we all got together. We found an alternative to learning management system. And what we created back then, when we didn't have the best resources, is something that is still date remembered. And till date, we are known for the work that we did then when our learning management system wasn't as slick as it had to be. But how this bunch of people came together, spoke to each other with honesty, and delivered something which was probably the best in the industry. Yeah, so these two things, honesty and align them to the bigger cause.
It is really exemplary, ma'am, for your team having such a great leader who not only pushed them up but built their morale when they needed it the most.
Yeah, thank you.
Let us move ahead, ma'am. One thought is that decision sometimes goes wrong, but it has to be taken. The other thought is that sometimes no decision is also a decision. What are your views on this, ma'am?
So for me, not taking a decision is also a decision. So the role that I am in, or most of us are in, there is nothing called as not taking a decision. If you're not making the decision or you're not calling the shot, it's your decision to not call the shot. Yeah. Again, I love giving examples. So very recent example. We were hiring a very senior leader for one of our leaders. And there were two brilliant candidates. Very nice. We were lucky to have them in today's time. So there was this whole debate going on, who to take, who not to take. And the decision was with two leaders. And I was the third party involved. Now, is it important that what I say or I make I'm calling the shot? May not be. We together discussed the strengths and the development areas of each of the candidates. And at that point of time, because that candidate had to work with the two leaders, I backed out. I gave my point of view and said, you make the decision. This is my point of view and I'm moving out. Yeah. So it's not important that you make all the decisions. But if you're not making a decision at that point of time, it's your decision that you're not making a decision. And you're empowering the other party because you have enough trust in them for you to be able to move out. Now, God forbid if that person doesn't work in future. Can I say I wasn't involved in a decision making? No. It has to be co-joint. Yeah.
Well said, ma'am. Your answer reminds me of the quote that there is no guaranteed success for the future and there is no absolute way to know that you are or aren't making the right decision. So give today the best possible shot that you can.
Yeah, I like your quote.
The next question for you, ma'am, is can the decision making power be delegated? If yes, then the accountability for failures rests on whose shoulders?
So this is how I will see it. You can empower your team to make decisions. Yeah. So I ensure that any large event, any transition, we do a lot of transitions, we do a lot of change management, we do a lot of communication, we do a lot of work around policies, colleague related engagement activities. My team is empowered to make decisions. But if something goes wrong, the accountability is with me. So yes, you can empower your people to make decisions. But at the end, me as a leader is going to be accountable. And it is important that we encourage, if you want to call it delegation, but that you empower your teams to make these decisions and move forward. But I've seen if you have the right team where there is a culture of trust, respect, you in line with the purpose and the goal, more often than not, you will land up in a spot where you would be appreciated for making that decision.
As it is well said that effective leaders inspires accountability through their ability to accept responsibility before they place blames.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we proceed ahead, ma'am? How do you balance emotion and logic in decision making?
It's tough, Anurag. But this is what I practice. And it's a skill, by the way. And I call it zoom in, zoom out approach. Yeah. You know this maze? You can look at this maze and have clarity if you look it from a distance. Yeah. So balancing your decisions basis logic and emotions is very similar to a maze, seeing a maze clearly. So you have to distance yourself. There was this colleague of mine. whose father was very, very ill. The medical insurance that she had opted for wasn't enough. Now, they wanted more funds. So, because of the emotion and the passion that we had for our colleague, we started this drive around contribution across the organization. Yeah. It was a decision that we made that we will go out and reach out to all our colleagues based on compassion and passion that we had for that colleague. So, this was zoom in. Now, when I zoomed out, I realized because that person had access to me and some of us, we were able to take care of her personal need. However, there are going to be so many others who would not have access to us. Yeah. So, zoom out. Logically, we all got together and we made it a process where anyone who needs extra funds, we can start contribution services where all colleagues at their own will can contribute. Yeah. So at any given point of time, it has to be a balance. Making decisions logically may seem the right thing to say, but I know we are humans and there are some decisions that we make on compassion grounds, and that's fine till the time you can ensure that you're compassionate across. You are seen as fair and not biased. And hence, in my head, it is zoom in and zoom out that I follow very often in my decision making skills.
This was really an admirable answer, ma'am. We hope that our audience gathers as much learnings as possible from the advice and guidance shared by you.
Thank you.
Moving ahead, ma'am, the next question is, sometimes without taking opinions of others, it may be difficult to take decisions while the other viewers never take an opinion of someone who does not have to face the consequences of such a decision. What is your take on this, ma'am?
I follow an approach where I connect with diverse work group. And that's worked for me, Isha, so far. It is important that since you're making decisions on behalf of an organization, since you're making decisions for people that you serve today, you have diverse work group. I very often reach out to people who I know are trustworthy, have are good partners to me, and have diverse viewpoints, because that's important. People who you're serving have different views. Me as a person, no matter how much experience I have, I would still think in a certain way. I'm built in a certain way. So for me to be able to make informed decision, it is about talking, socializing with people, and then moving ahead. Especially, a lot of work that I do today is around inclusion and diversity, around well-being. And both the subjects are so personal to so many people that they think very differently about them. I may think about well-being as physical well-being, but for someone, it could be emotional. So what I craft for some of these subjects needs to be inclusive and diverse. So I believe in socializing before I go ahead and say this is my decision.
Thank you, ma'am, for such a wonderful answer to this tricky question and providing us the feedback which we needed in this area.
Thank you, Isha.
The upcoming question brings us to the last phase of our session. Shall we proceed ahead with the same, ma'am? What is your advice to our students regarding considerations while making decision choices in their profession?
I say that to everyone who I meet. Go for something you love. You won't know what you love in the first go. But if you believe you're going to love it, go for it. Second advice, chase culture. Don't chase money. Talk about, find out more about the leadership, the culture of the organization. And then choose which organization you want to go for. Today, if given a choice to me, whether I want to continue my job with people who are great leaders, awesome culture of trust, respect, I would choose an organization where there is a lot of that, yeah, rather than going for an organization which just pays well. I've made those mistakes, and I say that out of experience. Money will eventually follow, but if you follow what you love, and if you follow a place which is good place to work from a culture standpoint, you're sorted for life. So that would be my two advices to people who are looking out to venture out into this corporate world.
Believe us, ma'am, there is a plethora of knowledge to learn from you. This episode might become a never ending one, but time does not permit us to go further. So, with this, we come to an end of today's session.
Thank you, Anurag. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an enlightening and entertaining session. We are honored and grateful to you for taking out time from your busy schedule and providing us valuable insights and guidance. Your readiness to share your experience and expertise on the topic of decisiveness will surely going to help our students in the near future. Once again, I thank you on behalf of our entire InternWare team for your kind gesture towards our Leadership Talk series. It was a pleasure to listen to your wise words and learn so much from it. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Isha and Anurag. It's been a pleasure to talk to both of you. In fact, with the entire crew, I love the energy and the passion that you brought to the whole interview and the shoot. So thank you for that. And I must say, very diligently handled. I loved the clarity that the entire crew had for this subject. So thank you so much. You guys are brilliant and continue to inspire people with your work. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have come to the end of our journey, but we will never forget the love and support you guys gave us, because of which we are standing here. Today's episode was worth contemplating, as it offered surprising, nuanced approaches on how to empower and inspire others to do their very best. Hope you guys watching will agree with me. Take care, friends, and also your feedback is extremely important to us. Telling us about your experience, good or bad, means that we can better understand what all we are doing or where there are areas we need to make improvements. So guys, stay connected and stay safe.
Thank you.